Dear friends, if you have been told that your cholesterol is high, you may feel confused by the endless debates online. Some say cholesterol does not matter. Others say it is the only number that counts. What most people truly want to know is simple. What should I eat and what should I avoid? In today's video, let us cut through the confusion. We will explore the science of cholesterol, how your genes, your gut, and your daily food choices shape your numbers, and we will focus on practical foods that help lower cholesterol and improve your long-term health. When it comes to cholesterol, the first truth to understand is that genetics can play a decisive role. Research estimates that about 30% of people inherit genetic traits that make cholesterol management more challenging. This is not a small number. It means nearly 1 in 3 adults may struggle with elevated cholesterol even. If they eat well and exercise regularly, one group of people are what scientists call superabsorbers. Their intestines absorb dietary cholesterol with remarkable efficiency, almost like a vacuum cleaner that never turns off. In these individuals, even modest amounts of dietary cholesterol can lead to higher blood levels because their gut simply does not let any of it pass by. Another group carries genes that limit the liver's ability to clear cholesterol from the bloodstream. You can imagine this like a recycling system with a broken filter. Cholesterol-carrying particles continue to circulate longer than they should, raising the risk of plaque formation in the arteries. One of the most important genetic markers is a particle known as lipoprotein, or LP. This lipoprotein is structurally similar to LDL cholesterol, but it has an additional protein called apolipoprotein, which makes it more likely to penetrate artery walls and promote inflammation. According to a large study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, elevated LPA levels are strongly linked to premature cardiovascular disease, independent of other risk factors such as diet, smoking, or high blood pressure. That means someone with a high LPA may face an elevated risk even if their standard cholesterol numbers look normal. Fortunately, there is a simple blood test that measures LPA. Experts from the European Atherosclerosis Society and the American Heart Association recommend that every adult have their LPA checked at least once in a lifetime. If levels are high, doctors may recommend more aggressive management of other risk factors. Since traditional cholesterol-lowering medications, such as statins, have little effect on LPA, it is important to remember that genes set the foundation, but they are not destiny. Even if you carry genes that raise cholesterol, your lifestyle choices still matter profoundly. Diets rich in soluble fiber, omega-3 fatty acids, and antioxidant-rich plants can improve the way your body handles cholesterol and reduce inflammation. As researchers often say, genes load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. In other words, while you cannot change the genes you were born with, you can absolutely influence how they are expressed through the choices you make every single day. The role of the gut and digestion. While genetics set the stage, your gut and digestive system often determine how much cholesterol actually circulates in your blood. The liver is the primary factory for cholesterol production. Each day it produces bile, a fluid that contains cholesterol and bile acids used to digest fat. Roughly 500 to 600 milliliters of bile are secreted into the small intestine daily. Under normal conditions, about 95% of these bile salts are reabsorbed back into the bloodstream and recycled. That means only a small fraction leaves the body naturally. Here is where diet becomes powerful. If you consume foods rich in soluble fiber, that fiber acts like a sponge or a wall, binding to bile acids and preventing their reabsorption. This forces the liver to pull more cholesterol from the blood in order to make new bile acids, lowering overall cholesterol levels over time. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that just 3 to 4 grams of soluble fiber per day can reduce LDL cholesterol by approximately 5 to 10%. Simple foods like oats, beans, apples, and barley can therefore make measurable changes in your blood work. The gut microbiome also plays a crucial role. These trillions of bacteria are not passive passengers. They're active participants in cholesterol metabolism. Certain species, such as Lactobacillus, Acidophilus, Bifidobacterium, ongum, and Eubacterium coprostanogenes, have been shown to convert cholesterol into coprostanoiform that cannot be absorbed by the human intestine. A study in the Journal of Lipid Research demonstrated that individuals with higher levels of coprostanol-producing bacteria had significantly lower cholesterol absorption rates. Other bacteria ferment soluble fiber into short-chain fatty acids, such as acetate, propionate, and butyrate. Butyrate provides energy for the cells of the colon and promotes regular bowel movements, which help eliminate cholesterol-rich bile. Propionate interacts with intestinal transporters, reducing the uptake of cholesterol into the bloodstream. In fact, this natural mechanism mimics the way some cholesterol-lowering medications, such as ezetimibe, function blocking intestinal absorption. Even the way you eliminate waste matters. On the Bristol stool chart, type 3 to 4 stools, soft, easy to pass, and formed are ideal. Constipation, or type 1 to 2 stools, allows more cholesterol to be reabsorbed. While chronic diarrhea can signal gut dysfunction that also requires medical attention. The lesson is clear. By nourishing your gut with fiber-rich whole foods, you create the right environment for beneficial bacteria to thrive, bile acids to be excreted, and cholesterol to be naturally reduced. Your digestive system, once overlooked, is now recognized by modern science as one of the most important allies in cardiovascular health. The power of fiber in daily elimination. If there's one nutrient that consistently shows up in the fight against high cholesterol, it is fiber. Yet, despite decades of research, most adults eat far less than recommended. The average American consumes only about 15 grams of fiber per day, and the recommended daily intake is between 25 and 38 grams. That shortfall has real consequences for heart health, digestion, and cholesterol balance. Fiber works through several powerful mechanisms. Soluble fiber dissolves in water to form a gel-like substance in the gut. This gel traps bile salts, which are rich in cholesterol, and escorts them out of the body through the stool. In doing so, the liver is forced to draw cholesterol from the bloodstream to produce new bile acids, lowering LDL cholesterol levels. A clinical trial published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that participants who added more soluble fiber from oats, beans, and fruits reduced their LDL cholesterol by up to 12% without any change in medication. Equally important is the role of fiber in bowel regularity. On the Bristol stool chart, the healthiest forms are type 3 or 4 soft, well-formed stools that pass easily. Constipation, reflected by type 1 or 2 stools, means food residue sits longer in the intestine, giving the gut more time to reabsorb cholesterol. On the other end, chronic diarrhea types 5 through 7 may indicate poor gut health and requires medical attention. The goal is steady, daily elimination that helps the body expel cholesterol-rich bile naturally. Certain foods are especially effective. Navy beans are one of the richest sources of soluble fiber, providing 19 grams per cup. That is more fiber than 95% of people consume in an entire day. Beyond beans, apples contribute pectin, another form of soluble fiber with cholesterol-lowering effects. Barley and oats are rich in beta-glucans, compounds that not only reduce LDL cholesterol but also improve satiety and blood sugar control. Fiber also feeds the gut microbiome. Beneficial bacteria ferment soluble fibers into short-chain fatty acids, such as butyrate and propionate. Butyrate fuels the colon and promotes smooth elimination, while propionate signals the intestine to absorb less cholesterol. In this way, fiber nourishes both you and your microbiome, creating a partnership that works quietly every day to protect your cardiovascular system. The message is simple. If you want to lower cholesterol naturally, become consistent with fiber. Aim for whole foods, beans, oats, fruits, and vegetables every meal. Let daily elimination be a marker of your progress. Whole grains and resistant starch. While beans, fruits, and vegetables are excellent sources of fiber, whole grains provide another unique weapon in lowering cholesterol, beta-glucans, and resistant starches. These compounds not only improve digestion, but also change the way the body processes Cholesterol and blood sugar. Whole grains differ from refined grains because they contain all three components of the seed, the bran, germ, and endosperm. The bran and germ are rich in fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, while refined grains, such as white rice or white flour, have these layers removed. What remains is mostly starch, which digests quickly, causing rapid spikes in blood sugar and offering very little fiber. In contrast, true whole grains, slow digestion, stabilize blood glucose, and provide the fiber necessary to bind cholesterol in the gut. Among whole grains, barley and oats are especially powerful because they contain beta-glucans, a soluble fiber, with well-documented cholesterol-lowering effects. A meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that a daily intake of just 3 grams of beta-glucan, roughly the amount in a bowl of oatmeal, can lower LDL cholesterol by 5 to 10%. This effect is strong enough that health authorities in both the United States and Europe allow oats and barley to carry official heart health claims on their packaging. Another important concept is resistant starch. Resistant starch is a form of carbohydrate that resists digestion in the small intestine and instead ferments in the colon, where it feeds beneficial gut bacteria. The result is the production of short-chain fatty acids, including butyrate and propionate, which, as we discussed earlier, support colon health and reduce cholesterol absorption. Interestingly, resistant starch can be increased through simple cooking practices. When grains such as barley, brown rice, or oat groats are cooked, cooled, and then reheated, some of their starch transforms into resistant starch. Studies in the British Journal of Nutrition show that this process lowers the glycemic index of the food, producing a gentler rise in blood sugar and amplifying the benefits for cholesterol metabolism. This means that yesterday's cooled rice or oatmeal, reheated for today's meal, can actually be more supportive of your cholesterol levels than freshly cooked versions. The lesson is straightforward. Choose whole grains, especially oats and barley, over refined products. Look for at least 3 to 4 grams of fiber per serving on food labels. And whenever possible, prepare your grains in ways that maximize resistant starch. By making these simple swaps, you are not only fueling your body with nutrients, but also equipping your gut with the tools it needs to keep cholesterol under control. The dangers of ultra-processed foods. If fiber-rich foods and whole grains are our greatest allies, then ultra-processed foods are their opposite. These are products engineered in factories, often made from refined starches, hydrogenated oils, and chemical additives. They are designed to be convenient, tasty, and long-lasting on store shelves. But inside the body, they disrupt metabolism and quietly increase the risk of chronic disease. Researchers define ultra-processed foods as those containing ingredients you would not typically find in a home kitchen: artificial flavors, emulsifiers, colorings, stabilizers, and preservatives. Think of packaged pastries, flavored chips, sugary breakfast cereals, or sweetened beverages, according to the NOVA food classification system. These products make up more than 50% of daily calories in the average American diet. That statistic alone explains much of the rise in obesity, diabetes, and high cholesterol. The dangers of these foods are twofold. First, they are stripped of fiber, leaving nothing to slow digestion or block cholesterol reabsorption. Second, they are often combined with unhealthy fats and added sugars, creating a metabolic storm. A study published in the BMJ followed more than 100,000 adults and found that higher consumption of ultra-processed foods was strongly associated with increased risks of cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. The effect was dose-dependent. The more ultra-processed food participants consumed, the higher their risk. These engineered products also trick the brain. By concentrating flavors sweet, salty, or fatty, they override natural hunger cues, making it easy to overeat. This phenomenon is called hyperpalatability. Once accustomed to it, even wholesome foods like fruits or vegetables may taste bland in comparison. Over time, this reshaping of taste preference drives people to consume more calories with fewer nutrients, a pattern that elevates blood sugar, triglycerides, and cholesterol. Another concern is the role of food additives. On the gut microbiome, emulsifiers such as carboxymaltulose or polysorbitate, commonly used to improve texture in processed foods, have been shown in animal studies to alter the balance of gut bacteria and promote inflammation. In humans, early evidence suggests similar disruptions could contribute to metabolic disorders. The solution is not complicated. Read food labels and favor items with short, recognizable ingredient lists. If you cannot pronounce it or would not cook with it at home, it is likely not supporting your health. Choosing real, minimally processed foods allows your body to function as it was designed, digesting nutrients, maintaining a healthy microbiome, and keeping cholesterol levels in check. Specific foods that lower cholesterol. Now that we have explored the science of genetics, digestion, and food processing, let us turn to the practical part, which everyday foods can help lower cholesterol naturally. Fortunately, the evidence is clear. Several simple, widely available foods consistently show benefits in clinical studies. Apples are one of the most accessible examples. Rich in soluble fiber, especially pectin, apples bind cholesterol in the digestive tract and prevent it from being reabsorbed. A study in the European Journal of Nutrition found that adults who consumed 2 apples a day for 8 weeks had lower LDL cholesterol and improved markers of vascular health. Eating apples with the skin provides both soluble and insoluble fiber, which not only lowers cholesterol, but also promotes satiety and regular elimination. Broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables bring a different set of advantages. They contain glucoraphanin, compound that activates the body's natural antioxidant pathway known as NRF2. This reduces oxidative stress, which otherwise damages blood vessels and promotes plaque buildup. When chopped and lightly cooked, broccoli also produces sulforaphane, a phytochemical linked to lower LDL cholesterol and reduced risk of heart disease. A review in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry highlighted sulforaphane's role in reducing inflammation and improving liver function, both critical in cholesterol regulation. Walnuts stand out among nuts for their high content of alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Multiple clinical trials, including one published in Circulation, have shown that regular walnut consumption lowers LDL cholesterol, reduces triglycerides, and improves endothelial function, which is the ability of blood vessels to relax and maintain healthy circulation. Just a small handful, about 28 grams per day, is enough to deliver these heart protective benefits. Finally, black beans provide a triple advantage. They are high in soluble fiber, resistant starch, and plant protein. Resistant starch ferments in the colon, feeding beneficial bacteria and producing short-chain fatty acids that reduce cholesterol absorption. In addition, substituting even 10% of animal protein with legumes such as black beans has been linked to improved cholesterol profiles and greater longevity. According to findings in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, these foods, apples, broccoli, walnuts, and black beans, are not exotic superfoods. They are affordable, widely available, and easy to incorporate into daily meals. By simply adding them to your diet, you provide your body with natural tools to reduce cholesterol, strengthen blood vessels, and support long-term cardiovascular health. When we step back and look at the big picture, one truth becomes clear. Cholesterol is not controlled by a single number, a single food, or even a single lifestyle choice. It is the result of a complex interaction between your genes, your liver, your gut microbiome, and your daily diet. Yes, some people are born with genetic variations, such as high lipoprotein A, which makes their risk greater. But even then, the choices you make each day, what you place on your plate, how much fiber you eat, and whether you rely on whole foods or processed ones, shape how those genes express themselves. Your liver is constantly recycling bile and cholesterol. Soluble fiber from foods such as beans, oats, apples, and barley can interrupt that cycle and naturally lower your blood cholesterol. Your gut bacteria, when fed with prebiotic fibers from garlic, onions, and legumes, produce short-chain fatty acids that block cholesterol absorption and reduce inflammation. On the other hand, ultra-processed foods, filled with added sugars and engineered fats, strip away fiber, damage the gut, and leave cholesterol circulating in the bloodstream longer. Modern science has confirmed what traditional diets have shown. For centuries, simple, minimally processed foods are the most powerful medicine for long-term health. Clinical trials consistently demonstrate that adding more fiber-rich foods can lower LDL cholesterol by 5 to 15%, while nuts and omega-3 rich plants improve vessel health and reduce the risk of cardiovascular events. These are not small changes. They translate into fewer heart attacks, strokes, and a longer, healthier life. The practical message is straightforward. Fill your plate with whole foods, beans, whole grains, vegetables, fruits, and nuts. Aim for a variety of colors and textures. Use animal products in moderation, choosing grass-fed or wild sources when possible. Most importantly, minimize your reliance on engineered and ultra-processed foods, no matter how convenient or tempting they may seem. Remember, the closer your food is to its natural form, the more it will give back to you in vitality, energy, and resilience against disease. You do not need to follow a complicated diet or count every calorie. You simply need to make consistent, thoughtful choices that honor the way your body was designed to work. Thank you for spending this time with Nutigood HealthBook. If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Together, let us continue building a lifestyle grounded in real food, real science, and real health.